Good morning everyone and welcome to this session, Python Revision Tour Iteration Statements. So today we are going to discuss about iteration statements or loops. Earlier we had discussed about conditional statements which were if, elif and else. So next is why do we need loops? So let's see. Most humans, that is us, find repetitive tasks to be very uninteresting. We don't like them. Sometimes such tasks are also used as punishment for young children, like maybe a teacher or a parent may use that task as a repetitive task as a punishment for the young child, like writing on the board 100 times that I will not repeat the same mistake again, etc. etc. Computer programming languages like Python have made our task easier by providing us the concept of loops. So for that, computers have helped us out by doing these repetitive tasks. So what are the types of loops in Python? So there are primarily two kinds of loops in Python. Now these are while loop and for loop. So we will discuss one by one. So what are the parts of a loop? So essentially any loop or most loops, except for the exception of the for loop, can be divided into three parts or three subparts. These are initialization, where we provide the starting value of the counter variable. This counter variable actually counts the number of iterations. It also you can use the counter variable or a function upon the counter variable to create the condition for which we will check to exit. So next is condition checking. This is the part which the condition is checked. Now this condition checking can be done either at the beginning of the loop or at the end of the loop, but in case of Python it is at the beginning of the loop itself. We also have an increment or decrement. Now this is the part where we increase or decrease the value of the counter so that the loop carries on with the next value. Now let us understand the while loop. So what is the while loop? So it is used to execute a block of statement as long as a given condition is true. When the condition becomes false, the control will come out of the loop and go to the very next statement after the loop block. The condition is checked every time at the beginning of the loop. So each time when the loop repeats itself, it will check the condition at the beginning itself. Now increment and decrement are to be done manually. So in the case of while loop, increment and decrement are done manually. You have to manually mention that how you are supposed to increment or decrement it. Okay, next is, let us see an example of the while loop. So this is the syntax of the while loop. While a certain condition is true, there is a statement or a block of statements. Now you might see that there is a certain tab space here, which is essential in the case of Python. Here is an example: x equal to 1 while x is less than equal to 4, print x equal to x plus 1. So in this case what will happen? X will start from 1, as we said, x starts from 1, then it tries to check whether 1 is, or x, the value of x is less than equal to 4 or not. So if the value of x is less than equal to 4, which in the case of 1 it is true, it will print that value, that is, it will print 1 and then x equal to x plus 1. So the next value of x is going to be 2. So when we have this 2, it will also check again. So what will be the output of this? It will go on printing and executing. So when it reaches 4, then what will happen? It will check whether it is less than equal to 4. So x contains 4, so that is why it will execute again. For 4, it will print 4. After that, what happens? When we do again plus 1, the value of x will become 5, which is not less than or equal to 4. So this will become false, and whichever statement comes after the while loop while loop block will execute. So here is a flow chart. Now this flow chart explains how this loop functions. So this flowchart will tell you, we'll enter the while loop, we will check the test expression. If the test expression is true, we will execute the body of the while, or we can say that as long as this test expression is true or evaluates to true, we will check the body of the while loop. We will execute it repetitively. As and when it becomes false, the condition becomes false, we will exit the loop into the next. So there is also a special concept of Python, which is while loop with else. So what is this? So x equal to 1, let us see an example. X equal to 1, x is less than 3. Print inside the while loop value of x is x and x equal to x plus 1. So we are just iterating a loop until the value is less than 3. And under that we give an else. Print inside else value of x is x. So what should be the output of this? So I think it will, let's see, we have a 1. Then we check 1 is less than 3. So yeah, 1 is less than 3. So it should print 1 here. Inside while loop the value of x is 1. So next we increment it, it becomes, the value of x becomes 2. So we will check, yes, it is true. And then it will also print 2. But when it becomes 3, then it is no longer less than 3. Obviously it is equal to 3. No longer it is less than 3. So it will exit this loop and go into the else part of the loop, whereby it will write inside else value of x is 3. So let's see the output. See? Okay. Moving on. Now we come to one more interesting part, which is the infinite while loop. So for an example, x equal to 5 while x equal to 5, print inside loop. So this will go on printing inside loop, inside loop, inside loop. Okay. However, in Python there is a certain locking or checking mechanism which does not allow a particular program to go beyond a certain resource value. Meaning, there is nothing like an infinite thing in Python. So whenever something infinite starts to happen, Python will automatically, or the interpreter will automatically stop it after a certain time. Okay. So that is why. But still, since you cannot control how long it works as a programmer or as a user, that is why we can say that this is a while loop. This is a mistake which can happen very easily in the case of while. Okay. So this is an infinite while loop. So we create a new file here. So for that we have to press Ctrl N. Once we do that, we have to then save it as Ctrl S, and then we save it as any name. By a particular name we will place it inside this. So let us make it while2.py and we'll save it. So now the name will change to while2.py. So let us have the value of x equal to 1 and let us start the while. Okay, so in case of Atom it is very good, you have autocomplete on, so you can directly press enter and then go on with it. It will give you the basic format of all the operations, basic operations. So while the condition was x is less than equal to 4, print x and x equal to x plus 1. So let us save this by pressing Ctrl S. Now we can move on to the terminal part and check how this is executing. So now let us execute this. So for that we will use Python while2.py. So it will print from 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, each line at a time. So now this is what this first code does. Let us now move on and check the second one. So we will create another new file and then we will save it inside that same folder as while else.py, and let us now start to code. So we have x equal to 1. Let us take a value. Now while x is less than 3, so print inside while the value of x is, and then we can give x, right? And we have to then do x equal to x plus 1. Now moving to the else part, we need to print inside else the value of x is x. Okay, so now let us save this by pressing Ctrl S. Moving back here, we will just clear the screen using the clear statement since we are on Linux. So then we will type in Python and while else dot py. So we'll get the output. Okay, so for the first iteration, inside the while the value of x is 1, inside while the value of x is 2. For the second iteration, after x equal to x plus 1, and after in the third case where we come out of while and into else, we have inside else the value of x is 3, which was the last value after the last increment, because x became 3 and then the while loop exited because it was no longer just less than 3, it was equal to 3. Try this out. X equal to 5 while x equal to 5, print inside y. Okay, so let's save this. So Python infinite.py. So it will keep on going. So the for loop. Now this for loop, let's continue from this point. So what is the for loop? So for loop, it is used to iterate over items of any sequence such as a list or a string. So in the case of Python, the for loop is a little special. It is a little different from other languages like C++ or C or Java, because in this language, that is in Python, you have a concept of a loop which iterates over sequences like lists or strings. So it is very easy to learn this loop. The for loop is one of the most favorite loops for most programmers. The for loop is one of the special features of Python, as it is different from other languages like C++, Java, or etc. Yeah, that I have already stated. The range function is extensively used in the Python for loop. So let's see the syntax for val in sequence statement or a block of statements. Let's see an example of for loop. Okay, so for I in range 3 to 5, we have to remember that this 5 needs to be 1 plus 1 from the value you want to go to. For example, this loop will print only 3 and 4. It will not print 5. So the upper limit of the it is exclusive of the upper limit of which I have mentioned in the case of the range function. So if you want to print up till 5, you have to place 6 in the after comma. So it will print up to 5. So we will see that. So let's see this in action. Let's start the interpreter. So when I start the interpreter, you will find that it has some information regarding the Python version and all. So we have Python version 3.8.5. Okay, so let's now start this for loop. So we have for I in range 3, 5. This colon is very important. Please remember when you are starting a block. Print I. Okay. So we will print 3 and 4. So that will be the output. Another very interesting usage of this for loop is in the case of lists. Suppose we have a list named names, and this contains some names. Say So if you print this list just by typing in the name, you print it like this. You can also use the print command to print this list, in which case it is also the same. But what if you want to print the names in the list one line at a time? So let's see that. For name, I am using name. You can use it in any other thing. You can use X, I, Y, Z, whatever. So for name in names, makes it a little more easier to understand. Print name. Alright. So if we execute this, you will see that it is printing one line at a time. You can also have say a string. For example, let us have a text. So this text may contain I love my India. Okay, now if you can again try to print it out like this or like this. And then one thing that we can do to get one character on one line, I mean you want to print it vertically, you can do this. For say T in text colon, please remember the colon, very important, print T. Okay, so once you execute, it will stream down like that. So now let us start discussing about nested for loops. So what are nested for loops? Let's see. Nested for loop is a kind of for loop in which one loop is put inside another loop. So it is usually used where two-dimensional data is concerned. So wherever we have a row column kind of a situation, we tend to use two-dimensional loops. Those are also known as nested loops. So say for example, we want to manipulate some data which is stored in the form of a two-dimensional table. So if I have a table which contains row and column, so we can use nested for loops. So let us move on. So an example of nested for loop, this is a very simple example. Okay, so max equal to 5, I have chosen range of 5, and then for row in range max, so unless and until we reach max from 0 to max minus 1, that is for column in range 0 to max minus 1, that is what is meant by this max. Then we have print row comma colon and equal to triple asterisk sign. So I have just given that triple asterisk sign as a differentiator so that you can understand. So this is going to print basically the coordinates of each individual row and column cell. So as you can see, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, just like that, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0 to 4, 4. So this is how the nested for loop works. Here you see, this is the code which is in Atom IDE. So now let us move on to the terminal of Atom IDE and check it out. Here you go. This is the output, as you can see, exactly like we have seen in the slideshow. So now moving on, some interesting exercises on nested for loops. So let's see this code. What do you suppose this will do? Okay, so let's see what this does. As you can see, it is typed in Atom. So now we run Python nested 1.py. So it will print the left diagonal. Okay, so since I have given in this case I am just printing the row, so it is printing from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Okay, what the output of this would be, as you have already seen, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, moving on. Nested for loop, some interesting exercises, part 2. This is a different kind of loop. So in this case I have used greater than equal to. Last one, if you remember, it was equal to sign here. So I have used greater than equal to sign here. So, and I have used a counter, that is I. This counter will print from 0 to 9, and since I am using this mod operator here, whenever it crosses 9, it will come back to 0 again. So let's see what this does. Okay, so this is how it is supposed to function. So let's see the code now. So we will run Python, file name is nested3.py. Here you go. This is the output. This is another example of a similar kind, but here rather than using greater than equal to, now I am using less than equal to. So let's see what this does. Okay, so it will print the upper right half of the left diagonal. So let's see how this functions. It's named as nested4.py. Here you go, the output as seen in the presentation screen. Okay. Now this is another condition. If you see here, I have changed the if condition now. Okay. So in the if condition we are printing the numbers, and in the else condition we are printing just the blanks. So here in this case I have changed the condition. Earlier it was row is less than equal to or greater than equal to or equal to column. Now it's row plus column is equal to max minus 1 or less than equal to max minus 1 or greater than equal to max minus 1. Let's see how this functions. So this will show you the right diagonal. So let's see this in action. Here you go. Okay, so this is another kind where I have used greater than equal to. I hope you can understand how we or what we can do with this. Okay, see what we achieve with this. Here you go. Okay, and the code is like this. All right, greater than equal to. Another code, this time it's less than equal to. So I think you already know what this will do. Okay, all right, so let's see this. So these are all good exercises of nested for loops, so that you can understand how they function and what they are supposed to do. Okay, so let's move on to jump statements. So what are jump statements? Jump statements are used to transfer the program control from one location to another. It means that these are used to alter the flow of a loop, like maybe skip a part of the loop or terminate the loop, so on and so forth. So there are basically three types of jump statements used in Python. These are break, continue, and pass. So let us see them individually. As the name suggests, the break statement is used to terminate the execution of the loop. So whenever you use the break statement, it will take the entire control outside of the other to the next statement just after the loop. Okay, so it takes the control to the statement immediately after the loop block. So let's see an example. Okay, so let's see what the output will be. Here you see the code. So you also see this. Okay, now since here you see the code, it is saying for I in string. String is just any string, any text that you want to take. You can also take anything else. If I equal to I, in this case I mean if I equal to this I, then break and print whatever other thing that is there. So you will see it will only print up till st and r. So let us now see it in execution. Okay, so as you can see, the output will be quite simply ST and R. Okay, next we have a break statement. This is one better example because it is more implementable. What we are trying to do here is basically we are trying to find out whether a number is prime or not. So I have taken input and converted it into an integer. Then I have created a flag which is basically a boolean value which is prime. So for I in range 2 to num. So since we are checking for prime, we cannot start from 0 or 1. So you have to start from prime to num minus 1, whatever the num is minus 1. So if num mod I equal to 0, if num is exactly divisible by this I, then we will say that prime is false. That means the number is not prime, and it will break it at that point. I have just printed this I to show you that how it is implemented, how far it goes. So if prime, then print if prime is true. This means if prime is true. So if suppose it changes into false here inside the loop, then this will not be true. So print num is a prime number, else print num is not a prime number or not prime. Let's see the output. So suppose we enter 35, output will give us 2. First we will check for 2, then for 3, which is 35 is not exactly divisible by either of this number. Then we will check for 4. Again, I is not divisible, 35 is not divisible. When it reaches 5, it will say that 35 is not prime because it is divisible exactly by 5. Here you go. This is the code. I'll close down the terminal so that you can see more clearly. It's the same code which you saw in the presentation. Okay, so now let's try to execute this. Okay, so it will ask me for a number. So suppose I enter 35 here. You get the same output as I already shown you. Now if I suppose enter a prime number, for example, I don't know, let's see. Okay, so it checked all the numbers starting from 2 till 36, and it didn't find any number which is exactly 37 is exactly divisible to. So it said okay, it is a prime number. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, next is the continue statement. So the continue statement is used to skip the execution of a predetermined set of iterations of a loop. It might be a set, it might be an individual value also. So it takes the control to the statement to the beginning of the loop. So it will take the control to the beginning of the loop. Okay, so let's see what this does. One simple example, say I have a text, say I love my India. So for I in text, if I equal to capital I, meaning this I and this I, so continue, do nothing. Okay, and print I, otherwise, that is basically otherwise it is saying print I and equal to single quotation, nothing inside a single quotation, so that it comes on a same line, it does not flow vertically. And this print is just so that after the execution is done, the prompt appears on the next line. So let's see the output. It will should show us something like love my India. So there is no I here and there is no I before India as well. Okay, so let's see this now. Let's execute Python continue 1. So love my India. Okay, so this is all regarding the continue statement. I hope you understood that. The pass statement is used as a placeholder to tell the interpreter to do nothing. So when you write pass, the interpreter sees that line and doesn't actually do anything. So why do we use it then? So it is also an example of the stub which the programmer uses to create the structure of the code before coding the actual individual implementation. Meaning I know that I have to conceptually think that okay, I have to create say 4 functions or 3 loops, and I create those loops first, check through the conditions, and then individually I go about writing the code inside those loops or functions. So that helps me to think in a standard categorized way. Okay, it makes my thought process easier, my way of implementation easier. Okay, this kind of an approach is said to be a stub approach, where you just create the basic framework of the code first and then you go into the individual implementation, so that the structure is first thought of and then the individual implementation is thought of. Okay, so let's see an example of this. Very simple. For I in range 10, pass, it will do nothing. I don't even maybe need to show you the output of this code. It will have no output at all. Okay, so just a blank output. So with that we come to the end of this entire chapter on iteration. So thank you all, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.